Everybody, welcome back to Reckoning with Jason Herbert. I am, of course, Jason Herbert. And we are talking today about the new film F1, starring Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem and Kerry Condon. And for you, I brought on for you two of my best friends in the absolute world. I'm talking about Dr. Colin Colbourn and Dr. Sarah Myers, two of my favorite people. You've heard them on the podcast like multiple times. I think Sarah's been on the pod more than any other guest we've ever had because she's been on for Masters of the Air and her own book. She's even co-hosted before. And Colin and I play video games like every single night. This is more information than you know, but I'm drinking wine, so that's fine. Anyway, this conversation we just had about 10 seconds ago is absolutely so much fun talking about this new film. So if you haven't seen F1, this episode talks about the film in general in spoiler-free terms for the first little while, and then we do a little break, and then we talk about the film with spoilers. So if you're interested in going to see the film, we'll give you our overall general impressions and so forth. Hopefully you'll see the film because we all loved the movie. And then we really break it down to an insider's look into F1. Colin and Sarah are both big F1 fans and have a lot of insider knowledge and kind of brought that to us today. And of course, I'm the outsider, which is great because you get an outsider's view of this film as well. So this is a really fun conversation. So sit back and relax because F1 is next on Reckoning with Jason Herbert. Okay, so apparently I was telling Sarah, and Sarah did not know, but apparently there's this whole thing now about backwards baseball caps. Like women are like loving and because I wore one in a video the other day on TikTok, and all these women were like, "Oh, careful, Kara, Sarah."
I feel like I didn't get a baseball cap now.
That's just weird. Are you a bro now? I mean, do you know, Sarah? I think you've been on more podcasts than any single guest.
That's exciting. I bought a Ferrari hat.
We're not Ferrari. We're Team Mercedes. Didn't you even watch the movie?
But Lewis?
No, not anymore.
Lewis?
Not anymore.
We're not because Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton's at Ferrari, so I thought Sarah would be in a Ferrari shirt. You are wearing red.
I am,
She's wearing red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm wearing my customary no sleeves. So
classy as always, buddy.
I think so, right? I have a PhD.
Don't we all?
I'm so excited to see you guys. We haven't done a pod together since what? Masters of the Air? Is that the last time?
Yeah.
Sarah, do you know that Colin and I have a super special pod coming up soon? We're going to record on.
I don't have a guest. I don't have a guest either.
Are we talking about Sahara?
I'm just a boy, Colin.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Tell her.
I'm very excited. We're going to do Notting Hill.
Colin and I doing Notting Hill.
Okay.
My favorite rom-com.
Nice. That's a good choice.
I
like this.
I think it's Julia Roberts' best rom-com. I mean, you can say Pretty Woman, but like
I think it's Hugh Grant's best rom-com.
Yeah.
He's really good. Like he perfected the foppish, charming thing. I mean, like 4 Weddings and a Funeral, he slayed. I was like, all right, there is a place out there for non-traditionally handsome guys like me. Now, I'm a traditionally handsome guy, but Same. For the lesser humans, like there's a shot. I thought Andie MacDowell was not very good in that film. That's the hill I'll die on. I did not think Andie MacDowell was.
I don't know which person that was. Who was?
That was the woman in 4 Weddings and a Funeral because she had this. She was like, "Is it raining? I forgot." And I was like, because he's like, "Would you ever want to not get married and not be married to me for the rest of your life because it's all raining and shit like that?"
I think it's an inferior movie. So I don't really know that much about it, to be quite honest.
I don't either.
You know what we should do? We should do a podcast with the top rating scenes in film history, like Singing in the Rain, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and Blade Runner. So at the very end, it's like tears in the rain. So yeah. And let's bring it back. It rained in F1. Rain was a very important aspect of the plot in this film.
As it so often is in real life.
Agreed.
So much so. Okay, I'm so excited to talk to you about this film. Before we do so, Sarah, you want to introduce yourself since you were here first and not suffering from computer issues?
Sure. I'm Sarah Myers. I have a PhD in history, and I'm a big Ferrari Lewis Hamilton fan. So that is why I'm here.
I'm Colin. I had computer problems. I have a PhD in history as well, and I'm a massive Formula One fan. I'm a McLaren fan. And Lando Norris, who is currently in quite the fight at the top of the charts right now, is my driver of choice.
All right. I am Jason Herbert. I also have a PhD in history, and which makes us very smart. This is the smartest podcast in the history of the world. I am currently unaffiliated. I'm between teams in F1. I've only recently, everything I know about F1 comes from you guys, which was, I think, fun for me with this film. My very good friend Chuck Eiton used to race like the under circuits for NASCAR and stuff like that. And he and I talked about it, and he's big into racing and stuff like that across the board and stuff. So we talked a little bit about it this morning as well, because I couldn't get this film off my mind. I really, really enjoyed this movie. So one of the things we need to discover today, because I was borrowing Sarah's Lewis Hamilton thing. I was like, this guy seems cool, right? It's like, but I kind of feel like it's cheating if I take Lewis Hamilton as well. And Colin has Lando Calrissian. So
you could do Oscar. Are you
I was just going to say
Oscar Piastri. He's Lando's teammate on McLaren.
That's right. And currently leading the championship.
Yes.
Is that fair, though, for me to come in for a guy who is like jumping in? I mean, already a Yankees fan and a Kentucky-based basketball fan. Like, I get enough crap about like my sports fandom, but I come by it naturally. I don't want to just jump in and choose the top guy, even though I myself, like in this film, and am a winner. Like, maybe that's the best thing. I am like Oscar.
Yeah, Sarah, what do you think? What is in F1? What is Jason? Is he
who's gotten my swag?
I think he's a Lance Stroll guy.
I know. I was getting ready to say we should sell him on Lance Stroll.
Is Lance Stroll? Is he a swan?
Oh, he's a race driver, all right.
Lance. That is a really good racing name.
There you go.
Lance Stroll.
Oh, yeah.
Is Lance Stroll an asshole? Is he a fucking douche?
He is.
Sounds like it.
He's a Nepo baby.
Okay. That's fine.
Let's say of all the drivers, I would say Lance Stroll probably has the least amount of fans, and you could add on to that.
Okay, now who does he race for? Who's his car?
His dad bought Aston Martin, the entire car.
Oh, sweet! Hold on. So he runs Aston Martin,
and so
this is perfect. James Bond drives an Aston Martin. I'll put on my Omega watch.
There you go.
Right here.
In fact, actually, I will.
Sorry.
I'll change my assessment here, Sarah. He could be a Fernando Alonso.
So my serious answer is going to be Fernando Alonso. My joking answer is
who is Fernando Alonso?
It could definitely be a Fernando Alonso guy.
So Fernando Alonso was not dissimilar from Brad Pitt in a lot of ways. When I don't know if we're supposed to give spoilers yet, but basically
not yet.
But Brad Pitt would while he's driving 200 miles an hour would be like, hey, and you should think about this for my teammate. And as a team, we should think about this, as though he's just, calmly driving in the rain at high speed.
At 212 miles an hour.
But it's strategizing for his teammate and everybody else and telling everyone what to do. That would be Fernando Alonso.
That's Fernando Alonso. He's a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
Who does he race for?
No, Aston Martin. They're on the same team with Lance Stroll.
Okay. Well, who's handsomer, Sarah?
Fernando Alonso?
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm Fernando. Where is he from? He's from Spain?
Spain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. He reminds me of the saying. Do you guys remember the bull, like that cartoon? Remember the cartoon Disney-esque bull when we were kids? Do you remember there's like a, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm writing a book on the history of cattle in North America, right? The cattle that arrive in Florida come from the Andalusian highlands of Spain.
Okay.
There you go.
Fernando Alonso.
So now you found your team. You got it.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's also the oldest guy on the grid.
Yeah.
Whoa. What do you have to do that to me for?
He's still actually.
But he's really good still. And he's very, you have to be very fit. So he's very fit for.
He had a bad time with picking the wrong teams at the wrong times, and so
if we use team as a metaphor for women and Jason, I feel like maybe this is
I think
working.
we've
All right.
landed on your driver.
Yeah.
I think you're a big fan. And
I'm
you
a
know what?
Fernando guy?
Fernando Alonso's not the worst guy to root for.
Does he have a
No.
number? Do they have numbers in F1?
They do have
So I
numbers
gotta,
in
do I have to
F1.
get a jersey?
Shoot,
If
I
you
don't
want to
remember.
get
What...
a jersey, you can.
I'm gonna have to now. I'm Team
I
Alonso.
actually, for some reason, I'm blank. He's 14.
14. That's
Solid
it.
number.
Yeah.
So I mean, my lucky number is 8,
So.
but
Yeah, sure.
14 works. 14 is a solid number.
Aston Martin merch is some of the most expensive out there, but you
Well, you know, I do work for the federal government, so I can easily afford that. So,
Sure.
you know,
British racing green, though, man, it's a great color.
It is.
Oh, it is. And my ancestors are British, as you can tell by my fair complexion.
This is
So,
all coming together.
Yeah.
oh my God. This is going to be so good. God, I miss you guys. This is so good. All right, cool. Sometimes we do history movies, and here we're like, let's talk about the history of the American Revolution. And today we're just like, let's just let it rip. Okay. This is what we're going to do in this episode. For those of you listening, we're going to talk about the new Brad Pitt film, F1, as you can tell if you read the intro. And we'll do some early thoughts on this, and we'll pause briefly so you can pause. So when we get into the spoilers, if you don't want the film spoiled for you, and we don't want to spoil this film for you either, because I think all three of us are endorsing this film pretty heavily. So we'll do that. So Sarah, Colin, let's start with our early thoughts on the film. Were you excited? Because we've been talking about seeing this for a while. Sarah, were you excited to go see this film? Was this a thing that you've been watching for a while, waiting for it to come out?
Yes, I was
You're
very
a pretty
excited.
big F1 fan.
Yes.
Right.
I was very excited for it. I was apprehensive, but honestly, it met my expectations I was apprehensive because it's fun for people who are new to the sport, like the Netflix series Drive to Survive, because if you don't know anything, it's like, oh my God, there's like so many racing cars. Like, this is so great. But it also, they did put in like fun cameos for fans so that we would at least have something.
There's stuff for you.
Yeah. So I was like, they had enough fun cameos. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are things I wish they would have done differently, but yeah, I was like, okay.
I kind of got a sense as we were watching, as a guy who comes to F1 with as we know, a deep F1 heritage over here. I don't even know when the races are. I know that they have them in Miami sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all in Miami. That's right.
That's right. Well, so are my exes. So I guess I'm never going in person. Either way, I dug that. Like, I got a sense though, Sarah, that like there were parts of the film that I like when people would bump into each other, stuff like that. I'm like, I bet I'm supposed to know who that is.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Colin, what were your thoughts? Were you excited? Like, real fast. Sarah, you had already seen the film before. I was like, hey, Sarah, do you want to go see this movie to be on the pod? You're like, I already saw it.
Yes.
Did you really? You saw it right away.
I did.
I'd seen it when we were talking about it.
I didn't see it as early as the people who saw it like a week ago. You know how there's like special premiere in certain theaters. I wasn't that early, but yes, I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest, I was expecting, as Sarah mentioned, to go into this thinking that I would know maybe a little too much now and it wouldn't be kind of as fun. But the way it opened up, like, dropped me. It felt like I was in the opening of Days of Thunder or in the opening of even like Top Gun. It felt like an 80s movie off the top, which I really, really loved. And then the Easter eggs that Sarah was talking about, like, there were so many and they weren't... Some of them were a little weird, some here and there, but they weren't as over the top as I was expecting, and it was really kind of fun. I could tell I was the only one in the theater that got some of the jokes.
Yep, same.
About like individual drivers and stuff like that. But so top line, I really enjoyed the film. I'll definitely see it again. I got to sit in one of those theaters where the seat rumbled too, which was really fun.
Nice.
And so that was a great experience.
I absolutely agree with you guys. So I dropped. So it's no surprise that I am a massive Brad Pitt fanboy. Throughout the 8 years we've been doing Historians of the, oh my God, it's gonna be 8 years. Wait, we started in 2000. Yeah, it's gonna be 8 years in like a couple weeks of like the movies that we do.
Congrats, buddy.
Yeah. I'm
not rich yet. Y'all need to start paying me. And by y'all, I mean not Colin or Sarah, but if you're listening right now, there goes my subscribers.
I was gonna say I do pay you.
Yeah, hey, thank you for that. And I just put out a very beautiful post today. I don't know if you saw that on the Comanche stuff. Anyway, so it just dropped you right in. And I thought, Colin, you mentioned that you felt like you were the only person who got a lot of the in jokes or some of the insider stuff. I think it sounds really. I think that's a good sign that it's not just F1 fans going to see an F1 film,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then also, like I was going to say, I've actually gone on record to say I think Brad Pitt is actually the single most important filmmaker of the last 30, 40 years. I know it sounds crazy, but I've often said he's a character actor in a leading man's body. And I think Plan B Productions, his production company, like helped produce this film. He's like, if you look at the stuff he's had his hands in, has an amazing talent for picking out films that either matter or like just do well at the box office. Like I think Brad Pitt's a winner, and I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. So much so, I kept watching this film going, the man is 60 years old, and I need to go to the gym because that's not fair. I'm like,
You want to, in the end, you want to feel like Brad Pitt is a cliche.
a little bit, yeah.
And then you watch, and you still get sucked in. I still believe he's the character. I'm still charmed. I'm still charmed by
he's
all.
Good.
It
works.
It works really well, and you know, I just feel like you think like Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and you're gonna kind of get pulled out of the film a little bit.
You're getting a Tom Cruise movie,
but I honestly didn't feel that way, and you know, it was good.
Yeah, I agree with Colin because I was worried about that. I was just worried it would feel tacky, but I really liked it. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that, part of that is due to Pitt. I think the casting. We'll talk about casting here in a second, but like, and also Joseph Kosinski, the director who did Top Gun Maverick. You know, Colin, you said this felt like. I mean, it's obviously influences there. Hans Zimmer is just being on fire in this. I mean, he starts to work that Euro synthetic stuff in there, and I'm sitting towards the end, and I literally when it came on, on that last race. Yes. I was like, holy shit. And I was sitting there in my seat just jamming. I couldn't believe how much I liked it, you know? I mean, it shouldn't be surprising. It's Hans Zimmer, right? Who was really kind of inherited, I guess, from John Williams as right. I mean, there are other great composers, but he's really kind of our guy now, I guess. So, Sarah, what did you think about the casting? You said, you know, you were afraid like you're getting sucked into a quote unquote Brad Pitt film or things like that. Like, what did you think?
I thought the casting was good. I liked I'm trying to remember her name. Her first name is Sarah. She's the one who played Pierce's mom, and Sarah Niles.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she's on Ted Lasso, which is how I know her. And I love her in Ted Lasso. And so as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, she's perfect to be his mom, like the specific type of mom for this role. I thought she did great. And then I think I told you my main complaint about the whole thing was the portrayal of women in the sport.
Not yet. You haven't said it.
So my problem is, I liked the casting for the women. I liked that they had a woman, you know, in
Carrie Condon's good.
Different roles, but I was like, it's so ridiculous that you seemed to make her like incompetent in some way. Like Brad Pitt is coming up with this revolutionary idea to have the car run in like dirty air, and I'm like, okay, this whole thing is
like combat, ridiculous. Sarah. It's combat.
So annoying. But
building a car for combat.
And then
you need to write your book for combat.
And then the woman who's she's unnamed, but she's the one who's like helping change the tires, right, on the team. And
she's great.
She's the one who's making the mistakes. I'm like, okay.
Callie Cook.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have a character. She doesn't have a character name though, does she?
I don't know. I pulled up the IMDb because I am notoriously terrible at remembering names.
Yeah, me too.
And so I think
she's unnamed.
Jody. Her name is Jody.
Okay.
Right. I just want to say, to be fair, Sarah, she is a woman, and this did involve driving, so of course she made a mistake.
Oof.
Excuse you. Virginia Scharf, the historian, would have something to say about that.
I love Jenny. I'm going to see her soon down in Albuquerque.
I don't know her personally, but You should tell her what you just said
I-
and see how she feels.
No,
about
I
it.
am afraid of her, and she is a third of my size. I love Ginny, so
for
I'm going to have dinner at her house.
So for listeners, historically, there is a reason why there's a stereotype about women as bad drivers, and it's not based in reality. So I'll just say that.
Really? What is it?
Yeah, so read Jenny Sharf's book, Taking the Wheel. She talks about the fact that it's all about advertising and how they were playing into stereotypes about women. So they tried to make it seem like, oh, driving a car will be easy enough, a woman can do it. And so they like used all this advertising. This is before very many people even get to drive. And they already are starting out with like, women are going to be bad at this, but they can drive our car, buy a Chevy, whatever. So yeah, so there's a reason there's a stereotype.
Did you just bring history into our podcast?
I did because
I'm really glad you did.
Always do this.
Maybe she's the only one with a PhD here. Maybe we're just fakes.
My PhD is from a public school, so it's fine.
Same.
That's why I was like, no Ivy Leagues on this podcast. Colin, what did you think about the casting? What are your thoughts on this?
I liked a lot of the casting. I personally, I don't know how much we're going to dive into this. I was not a huge fan of Damson Idris.
Really,
Joshua Pierce character. Okay. I feel like
I have a hot take on Damson.
Brad Pitt was so good that it kind of made Damson didn't seem that great for me personally. One guy I want to shout out. And it opened the movie with him, and he's one of my favorite character actors. Shea Wiggum. Shea Wiggum. I mean,
I was going to say
I love that
him.
guy. And I wanted him to be in the whole stupid movie so bad.
Thank you. I kept expecting for him to like show up and like So one of the things that I dug about the film was that this film did not give me what I kept asking for. Right? There are things that I was like, oh, okay, this is what they're setting up, and then this is going to be the way, and we'll talk about this when we get the spoiler versions. I kept expecting for him to follow some very formulaic stuff, and people have kind of said, oh, well, listen, it's a sports film. There's going to be a montage. There's going to be a dip 3/4 of the way through. There's going to be a challenge they have to overcome. That's any film, right? All films need a montage. And Joseph Kosinski is apparently really good at montages, man. This guy, I'm telling you, this guy is just, I want to talk about him as a director in a moment, but like, you're absolutely right, Colin, because I was like, sweet, Shea Wiggum. I loved, he usually plays the douchebag, right?
I was in.
Right. And
we were just talking about American Primeval, right? Which is overall not a great show, but his role in it is phenomenal, and he's kind of the best part of it.
Did you see the Godzilla, or excuse me, the King Kong film that he was in, Skull Island?
I don't think I did.
Shea Wiggum does not live through a lot of films. He's like American Sean Bean. And there's tell me I'm wrong. There's like this scene where he's like holding his grenades, where he's giving himself up to the monsters, and it bats him against the wall and he blows up. I love that dude. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was like, more Shea Wiggum. I thought we'd see more.
I thought, I liked Javier Bardem. Carrie Condon was great. They kind of failed the Bechdel test hard with her.
You want to explain what the Bechdel test is for the people who aren't familiar?
I'll have Sarah explain.
No, explain it to Sarah.
No, okay. So you need to have
mansplain it.
You need to have at least
mansplaining is what I can explain, Sarah.
I know what it is. I'm just interrupting you instead.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to save you from yourself. So
I'm going to hell.
So you have to have two women who are named, like they have a character. They have to talk to each other, and they have to talk to each other about something besides a man. Also her, like, we did not need her sleeping with Brad Pitt. Like, that didn't do anything for either character. No. Like, it was a waste of time.
Sarah, it helped her understand wind better.
Can't with the whole thing. I just can't.
Okay. Can't. Okay. So there are a couple. I think you're absolutely right. Okay. Let me just go ahead and stop. Well, you know what? That's in the trailers. I think it's understood. Brad Pitt is going to have a love interest.
Yeah, everybody knows. Yeah, they're going to pick up on it. Yeah. We didn't.
Yeah. Sometimes that love interest is Antonio Banderas. If it's 1992 and it's Interview with the Vampire, sometimes it's an Irish lady in 2025. Here's my question. I was watching this film, and this was a very difficult question I was trying to answer.
Hmm.
Who is handsomer? Is it Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Or
where are we going with this? Who's the other person?
No, the owner.
Javier Bardem.
The owner.
Javier Bardem. Yeah, like
that's Brad Pitt.
Anton Chigurh, right?
Yeah, right.
Is it Pitt? Also, okay, I noticed a little thing here. Do you guys think they were playing a little post-film effect to make Pitt look a little bit younger? I felt like there was a little digital editing with the man's 60 years old and he looks terrific. And I follow all the social medias. I follow some plastic surgeons because I'm vain on Instagram, and they like pointed out like where he's had like Pitt has had to work. They tightened it up and stuff like that. And so
maybe
like, did you notice that? Look like Pitt would take
I didn't notice
digital? I didn't
because he was
notice
staring
either.
into his eyes too hard.
But I'm not saying it didn't happen. So I'm just
okay.
unclear. Not sure.
Okay. All right. For those of you listening still to this, we're gonna jump into now a spoiler field. We do feel. We still
spoiler field.
Spoiler. I'm drinking wine, ladies and gentlemen.
I had my mezcal Negronis.
Nice.
There you go. Spoiler filled discussion now of the film. So pause this now and pick back up because we want you to see this film. I don't want to run around this film. I loved this movie.
Good movie, fun movie. Go see it.
Dude, I loved this movie so much more than I expected. I thought I was going to be like, okay, it's all right. And I kept being surprised at just like, there were moments in the film I was like, Jesus, I can't tear myself away from this movie. It just pulls you in, even as a casual observer. I think that's a real strength of this movie. You're just sucked into this thing.
Yeah. And I think Formula One is very happy about that. I think Formula One's very happy about that because their whole thing is trying to increase audiences, whatever. And so, so mission accomplished.
Because Formula One's not that big in the U.S. You know, it's kind of like, it's almost like the soccer of racing. It's big everywhere else but the U.S. I mean, it obviously has its fans. But growing. It really needs like that thing.
It's growing, yeah. It's grown a lot. I mean, that's why I'm here in the first place, honestly.
Yeah.
And Sarah, I don't know if you'd agree with this too, but what I heard leading up to this was a lot of Formula One drivers with a lot of lukewarm statements about the movie, and so I was definitely not expecting it to blow me away.
Yeah.
Because what did Kimi Antonelli the phrases that they said, it was like it was truly a fast film, you know. It's like it was just like horrible, campy, like they clearly did not like the movie, and I was like, oh boy, is this going to be bad?
Yeah.
But
I think they're just too close to it. It would be like if I watched a movie about the Wasp, I don't know if I'd be happy no matter what they did, you know, like, because you know too much. I don't know. That was my theory about it. So going into it, I kind of was like, maybe it is, but maybe they just are too close to it.
Well, it's natural to be protective of this thing that belongs to you, right? And then to have that exposed to outsiders. And you understand that there's going to have to be at some level, I think, you know, maybe, I don't want to say dilution, right? But maybe some lack of nuance that maybe you understand because you're so heavily invested in this world, where you're trying to open it up to, so because you can't have everything super complicated, right? But the mechanics of F1 racing, right? How teams are structured, how people operate, the training, all this stuff. I had no idea. Like,
and they got a lot of that right.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like the one thing to your point about sort of Brad Pitt making movies and stuff like that, and I don't know who was responsible for this, if it's director or producers, whatever. They were serious about F1.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that happened in the movie was stupid, but they were serious about like the little details, you know, the colors of the tires, the soft, mediums, and hards. And, you know, like stuff that like, and I'll be honest, you know, I don't know. I saw it somewhere. They were talking about how someone was like, was it you were saying that someone said they were learning a bunch about tires by watching Drive to Survive. But one thing about Drive to Survive, which is the Netflix series they made about Formula One, is that they don't really teach you a whole lot about tires. And I didn't even learn much about that until I started watching every single race. They kind of just avoided the real complicated parts of the tires, which is a major part of Formula One. And I thought they really tackled that well in this 2.5 hour movie. I was really surprised. I think they did a great job of sort of explaining how tires fall off and doing all this other kind of stuff, soft tires, hard tires, all this other kind of things. So
Yeah,
anyway, I
and
thought they got the details right.
yeah, I think the same thing. I liked that they were introducing people to the sport without doing some boring montage where you're explaining it to people, right? So they like showed how drivers are both competitors and teammates. I thought they did great with
Yeah.
that. I liked that they were like, this is an importance of a team. This is beyond the drivers and beyond the people that you see here, right? There's like a large team behind every single one of us. So, one person could make a difference in like our final time, right? So that's Lewis Hamilton, one of the producers, obviously also a Formula One driver. He, I'm sure, was a part of that because he's always thanking the larger team and the people at the factory making things. But I like that they pulled that in and explained that to you. I also like that they had drivers with superstitions, so like Brad Pitt using the cars, because
Right.
it's like, oh, that's also a thing for pilots and for drivers and people that I don't know. So little subtle thing like the tires, like you said, yeah.
Can we talk about the card real fast? You know what I dug? I like that they didn't show us the card at the very end. Right?
I really
they didn't have
thought
to.
They were gonna.
Yeah, and of course you're expected for it to be the ace of spades, right? And he just kind of looks down and grins, and I'm like, thank you for trusting the audience.
Mhm.
Like, thank you for not having to like hit us over the head with this very cliche thing, And I think that that's really what Kaczynski's doing well. Because Sarah, you're talking about this, because there's also a lot of trust in the audience to pick up what they're putting down.
Yeah.
And I get a sense this film runs 2.5 hours. It's not a short movie.
No.
I get the sense that there's another 45 minutes to an hour worth of film in the editing room somewhere. Like I get the sense that did you not get the sense that there's like an entire storyline maybe out there where Jodie's name is called?
There literally is.
Yeah.
So there's a woman who starred in the second or third season of Bridgerton.
Yes. She's not in it.
Yeah. She apparently filmed like a ton of scenes and those were all cut. So who knows how much footage they have.
Right. Maybe she's supposed to be Damson Idris's love interest.
She was.
Right.
Yeah. And apparently they had her be a part of all the premieres and the early promotion of the film. And so that was before they cut it. So I'm like, that's really chaotic. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, here's the thing. Like, I know it'll mess up like the flow of the film. I will take as much of this movie as you can throw at me. I will sit down and watch a 3-hour and 20-minute cut of this film.
No, if they do like a director's cut, I'll definitely watch
it.
it.
Yeah, me too. Same. Yeah.
Right. What are your strengths of the film, Sarah? When you think about this, it's been a couple days removed since you saw the film. When thinking back on it, what do you remember? Like what really, really got to you in this film?
I mean, I think just kind of what I've already said, just that they introduce people to the sport and like pull you in to how racing is fun. Like, I think if I would have watched this before I was a fan, because I became a fan in 2020 through Drive to Survive, like a lot of other people. Okay. And so I got pulled into the show and the personalities and just how competitive, I just thought it was fascinating that you can be on the same team, but you're competing against each other, but you're not competing against each other. And like balancing of egos, I find fascinating, like how people are navigating. So I liked that they showed like Sonny's ego and how we're trying to balance it. And then Joshua Pierce, like as this like rookie. And so I liked that they were showing people why racing is fun and that it's more than just like driving in circles, which is what I thought about it pre-2020. So.
Yeah. I mean, certainly you got to love the in-car shots.
This is well directed.
Yeah. And I mean, what did they say? I heard Brad Pitt at some point say there was like 13 cameras or I don't know. It was like tons of cameras in the car. The cars, like, the attention to detail, I think was a big strength in this movie. And that is hard to do with F1 because F1 is a series that's about the details, right? And that is, they really get down into that where it's like, and that's one of the more frustrating parts of the film is the truth about F1 is that it is about tenths of a second. Every upgrade you do that you spend $200,000 on will bring you like a half a tenth or a tenth of a second. And I did kind of, of course, all the antics that he gets into is kind of the way that they sort of pick up some of their points and stuff like that. we can talk about that. But I do think the strength was that it was a fun movie. Brad Pitt was awesome, and then attention to details. And Lewis Hamilton is definitely the producer at the heart of that. But Sarah, I don't know what you think, but what shocked me is that Lewis Hamilton wasn't in the film.
Yeah.
Not till the very end.
He's not. I know he's like barely in it. Yeah.
He was him as a human.
No, he's not
in one
acting.
shot when he like was put, like they were like getting back in the car and they had like the look. He had no lines in this film, which actually really surprised me.
Same. I thought
But again, isn't that good?
Oh no, I was just gonna say when you're talking about lines in the film, I thought that I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it's fun to think about. I don't know if Lewis had any sway on who got speaking roles and who didn't in the Formula One world, because Toto Wolff, his former team boss, got to speak, but Christian Horner, who's the team boss of Red Bull, did not. Yeah, his face was in there, but he had no lines. And so I was like, little things like that, I wondered if, I don't know. But yeah.
Also, what an absurd thing for Toto Wolff to say to someone.
Have those lines. Yeah.
What did he say? I don't know who this is.
Okay, so Toto Wolff is the team boss, team principal of Mercedes, right? So he's the guy with the white button up on at the very end after they won.
Yeah.
And Dan Sneakers.
Oh, he's the guy's like, if you want to come race with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. After he had crashed out of this race, took his driver out of took Lewis Hamilton out of the race. Toto Wolff's not going to go up to you and say, "Hey, man, looking forward to having you on our team."
No.
Right. Like that to me was one of the most unbelievable parts of the movie.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But again, that's a little bit. That's some of the Easter eggs, right? Like and then I don't know if you noticed this too, Sarah, but Stefano Domenicali to have his little thing at the end. So Stefano Domenicali's a CEO.
Yes, he's a CEO. Right? Yeah.
And he's the guy at the very end. He congratulated Javier Bardem. Like they had to show a shot of him congratulating him, and I was like, well, when the CEO of Formula One, I guess you get it.
That was probably a requirement in the film that he got to be like, because F1 had to sign off on this movie to be made, right? I mean, it's like with all of their. So
they literally filmed at races. Yeah. So I mean,
actually, so another shout out to my friend Chuck. He said he and his father were at when they were filming the stuff in London. He and his dad were at that London race 3 months before his father passed. Right. I know, right? As I said, I actually met, rest in peace, Chris Iton. I met you, man. It's good people. I like the guy. But yeah, totally, right? We talked about Brad Pitt being in this. Like, I just, towards the end, here's the thing I loved. I kept expecting them to be like, all right, Brad Pitt's going to be the good soldier. All right, Junior, Pierce is going to go win the race. I kept expecting for him to do the noble thing and for Pierce to win the race, and everyone's going to and Brad Pitt will have the moral victory. And like, oh no shit, Brad Pitt's gonna have to go win the race. Like I liked these subtle, it wasn't, they weren't going for the obvious choices. There were so many times in this film where I thought, oh, this is obviously what's going to happen. We're obviously going to get Shea Wiggum back. I still want Shea Wiggum in this film, right? Maybe Shea Wiggum will show up in Baja, Mexico during the credits, right?
We need to get him on the pod, man. Celebrate his career.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I can do that. So, why not? I have power. I think you're absolutely right, though, Sarah. Like when you talk, I'm thinking about what I didn't like. I don't know. I feel like the love thing between Pitt and Carrie Condon was absolutely unnecessary. And frankly, I don't know that the chemistry was there.
Yeah,
I wasn't feeling it. I was just annoyed by the whole thing.
We all love this film, so everything we're going to say now is probably more critiques than anything else. But Sarah, what didn't you like about the movie? Like, are there parts that you were like, eh?
There's just like a lot of random things. Like, I mean, this is random, but Sonny is wearing necklaces against his skin under his uniform. I'm like, no way. If you get in a fiery car crash, right, the metal will burn into your skin. So you don't wear jewelry touching your skin like that. So I was like, That's stupid. Like that was we don't
Well,
need
you're
him.
Lewis Hamilton.
I know, but see, do Lewis's touch his skin? I don't know. He has them in his
He's
nose.
got piercings.
Yes, but is it on his
What's
chest?
his ear?
I don't know. Anyway,
All right.
they're
Little
also
things. All right.
yeah. So it's like Sunny.
Why are men wearing necklaces in 2025? We're not pirates.
So
This like thing. Every time I get on TikTok, there's some MAGA influencer wearing a necklace talking about masculinity. I'm like, you're literally wearing a necklace, bro. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sarah.
no, it's okay. I was gonna say Sunny it just waltzes in after all those years and somehow still has a super license. So I'm just like,
What's the
I didn't even
super
think about that.
so.
That's
So
so good.
for a super license, you have to keep so many. So there's always this thing when you bring in new drivers to Formula One, like, coming in like rookies, like who are really 18 years old, whatever. They're coming into the sport. You have to have what's called a super license. You have to maintain so many qualifications, but a part of it is like hours in certain levels of cars, sort of, right? Anything you want to add to that, Colin?
I'm Googling whether you get super license points for the 24 hours of Daytona.
That's great. So basically, you have to have competed at the high level and spent so much time in a car, like done so many hours. So for Sonny, who hasn't been in the sport and had a gambling binge in the middle and whatever else he was doing, right?
Womanizing.
How does he have enough hours for a super license that would qualify him to be a Formula One driver? I don't think it's possible. But
no, I don't think it's possible either. And
Yeah.
that's a great catch there too.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I don't think you get any points for like even IndyCar, Jason, which is kind of like,
Okay, I want to talk about that because it feels like F1 is shitting all over IndyCar in this film. Is there a F1 IndyCar Big Brother little brother thing going on? I get the sense of that.
I mean, they're yes, Michael Schumacher famously said that people who can't make it in Formula One go to IndyCar. And I think anyone who knows IndyCar and who follows IndyCar knows that in many ways it's probably a much harder car to drive than Formula One cars. Yeah, they don't have power steering. They drive on these insanely bumpy tracks. All the cars are spec, so in Formula One, the team that you're on can spend $400 million and you can have all those extra tenths of a second, and that's how you get ahead. In IndyCar, they can do some tweaks to the engines and stuff like that, but all the aero is exactly the same. And so it's really down to the driver. Anyway, there are many, I've Formula One has brought me to IndyCar and I've definitely gotten into it a little bit more. And so, yeah, there is definitely a contentious relationship there in some ways. And a lot of guys who are in Formula One, when they lose their seat, some of them go to IndyCar, and there's not really a pipeline that goes the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, so the point of me bringing up IndyCar is that you don't get a lot of super license points for IndyCar. And so these guys who are even the best drivers in IndyCar, they don't even necessarily get the chance to race in Formula One because they don't have the super license points.
Yeah, that's good.
Which you get from Formula 3 and Formula 2 and the European series that do that.
I'll do one more, then Colin can go. So they were drinking a lot of alcohol and staying up really late on the nights before races. Normally it's the other way around. You're drinking and staying out late on the nights after you've won or
you're celebrating or morning, right?
And normally they're very restricted about what they eat. I remember one time Alex Albon in an interview, he's a Formula One driver, he was being asked like, hey, you're in whatever country this is. Are you going to eat this famous food? And he's like, oh, I love that. I don't remember now, but whatever the famous food was, he's like, oh, I love that. And he's like, but I mean, I'm driving this weekend, so I'm not going to be eating that. So I was just like, they have such strict diets. And in this movie, it's like a free for all of like drinking and staying up late and not paying attention to what you're eating. It seems weird. I don't know.
Well, Sonny's very diligent about this, right? He's like, I'm going to bed. He's getting up. He's like he's sitting in the cold plunge. He's doing crunches, right? I mean, do these guys have to maintain a certain weight so it doesn't throw off like the like if you put on 5 pounds at this level, because we're talking about tenths of seconds here, it's like a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah. I remember Kimi Antonelli is a rookie this season for Mercedes, and he was talking to Toto when he was first getting started in a clip from Drive to Survive, or maybe it was his documentary. Either way, he's talking to Toto, his team boss who makes the appearance in the film, Jason, that we were just talking about at the very end, offers the seat. Yeah. So anyways, Kimi was like, Toto, how much do you want me to weigh? Whatever you say, I'll do it. And so they basically, it's like a fine-tuned system. And if you weigh more when you get out of the car, or weigh too little when you weigh out of the car, whatever the range is, you're
Throws
docked
off
points. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like wrestling, I guess, in that way, sort of. I don't know.
And they lose like 6 to 8 pounds during every
sweating.
race.
Yeah, I remember Dale Earnhardt Jr. talked about this one time, and I'm not, like I told you, I'm not a racing guy, but it was like these guys just sweat. Like it's a physical thing to be. And I think that's one of the cool things about the film is like you're watching Brad Pitt and he's having to physically control this vehicle.
Yeah, I think that you can see that in those in-car shots, you see the physicality, but I definitely don't think they did a great job when they got out of the car of showing how destroyed they all are. And I think
bodies.
some of Brad Pitt getting into the ice bath and doing, that he would like collapse, like maybe a little bit of that, but even the rookies, the young guys, that was the other thing, is they didn't talk that much about the necks, of course.
Yeah.
They showed kind of a montage of him doing the
what's the neck?
They have to have these insanely strong necks because of the G's that they pull. So it's kind of hilarious when you watch a rookie get into every year for 2 races, each team has to put a rookie in the car for 1 practice session. And it's always hilarious because you'll see them racing around, and when they go to a turn, their head just slams to the other side. They turn again, their head slams to the other side because their neck's just not built up yet. Really? And that's another thing that Brad Pitt, that is so different from all the other like racing that he's been doing. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that pulls the same G's as Formula One. And it would be the same thing for Damson Idris, like never really sort of talked about the conditioning, and like even as a rookie, he would be wasted. Like these are some of the most fit guys, in sports. Some would argue maybe not, but like they definitely are. And
definitely athletes.
And they're all wasted, just completely gone after these races. And so that's something I don't think but like this, that's a small criticism. I think for me, kind of the low points was, once we got to like the second or third race where we're just causing accidents, and like I got a little bit bored of like I'm going to knock out 10 front wings.
Okay, that one was fun for me though, man. I was like, I was surprised at how like Brad Pitt was immediately a team player.
Right. No.
I was shocked at that.
I'm glad that you aren't a Formula One fan, because I can see that you appreciated that, which is great. That sounds good to me. Hey, but it's like
you're great too.
Thanks, buddy. But it's not really like, for me, I got a little bit like, is this whole movie just going to be him, Valtteri Bottasing in Hungary of 2021?
Yeah.
You get that one, Jason?
Not at all. I thought you were talking about an intestinal parasite.
So a Mercedes driver, Valtteri Bottas, at the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2021, locked up his brakes and took out like 13 cars at the first turn. And so, like, that's a way where you can get Esteban Ocon, like someone who's not going to win a race otherwise, to win his first race. And that's how you would probably, what you would do. So I was glad. Okay, this is going to be a little bit controversial with you, Sarah. So I was glad that eventually we actually leaned into upgrades to the car having more meaningful effects. Now, would they take them from being last place to 4th place or whatever they sort of like were averaging?
Teamwork brought them in, Colin.
But here's what I want to say about the idea of everyone else is fast in the straights, so we need to concentrate on the turns. Someone had criticized this film. It must have been in like a trailer where he said that line where he was like, everyone else has straight line speed. Like, we need to focus on the turns. But, I was actually happy that it wasn't just we need to be fast in the corners. It was, we need to have some way to combat the dirty air. Now, everyone at Formula One is trying to combat dirty air. I'm not saying that this was some kind of revolutionary thing, but the concept of dirty air is something that we as Formula One fans are familiar with. That, Jason, you may not know what we're really talking about when we say dirty air.
I understand dirty air. I understand this idea of turbulence whenever you are in combat and he turns and you're all bunched up together and now the air has been disrupted. And how do you channel that air and maintain aerodynamics?
That's right. And what does it do to your car?
Slows you down and makes you.
How does it slow you down?
It slows you down by because the air slows you down and it destabilizes your automobile, which makes your ability to control the vehicle impaired.
And that instability wears your tires down faster.
Right.
Well.
So what happens is you need a man to tell a woman his great idea, and then he can take credit for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
Anyway, Sarah, so I was not as mad. It's a dumb concept. But the idea that because of course, like what we've gone through in the past 5 years as Formula One fans is one of the most sort of disruptive changes in aerodynamics for Formula One, where they used to focus primarily on air that moves over the car, which creates really bad dirty air, which meant that like cars couldn't get within a second of each other, to air that moves under the car with Venturi tunnels and under the car floor dynamics. It's starting in the 2022 season, and it's changed everything about like sort of the way, and it's also kind of failed. So they're kind of going back to the old one for 2026. But this is something that like when you watch Formula One, it's kind of what people talk about all the time. So I was kind of glad they actually kind of introduced the concept at least.
Well, and they're also, I will agree with you in the sense that they're also introducing people to the idea of what science goes into the cars and how this is more than just like, oh, everybody has the same car, they're all just driving, whatever, that you can make adjustments to the cars. And also, even with the leaked documents, right, in that dramatic moment where they have to go back to the old version, I was like, a little silly, but also they're giving you the idea that there's this set of rules you have to follow, and if you violate them, there's consequences, like, so it's like, okay, like you're showing people that, like, so yeah,
that's right.
I felt like they did this really ingenious job through, like, just like you're saying, Sarah, of that. Plus, also, like, through the voiceover of the commentators of explaining to lay people like myself how I just felt like they did a really great job.
They did a really great job, and I think that personally, I think that's from how good of a job they did in Drive to Survive, which I didn't realize when I was first watching it. I thought those were the real commentators, like I didn't really know what I was watching. But it's just like this live commentary. And in the race, it is also helpful context, but in the movie, it was just really direct, very helpful context from the actual, Sky Sports commentators that we hear every race.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, you've both came to racing in the last, say, 5 years? Is that would you describe yourselves as traditional American F1? Like, we talk about like how F1 has really reached out to or wants to broaden its market, which what sport doesn't, right? What does the average American racing fan look like? Are they all tall, goofy-looking guys with soft hands, or who are they? Or is it an older crowd? Like what or the younger folks like us?
Yes, our first race together.
You went to a race together, Colin? We've never been to a race together, and we play pirate games on television.
That's amazing.
Go on.
No, well, actually, I saw that Colin put it in his Instagram stories, and I was like, you're here? Like, I'm here. And that's how it worked out. So we were both just there, and we didn't know each other was there.
I think you told me that once.
Yeah, so it was very dramatic.
When you were when you were trying to make me be friends with Colin.
Yeah, maybe.
And eventually we forced it through.
Yeah.
Are there F1 races in Colorado?
So it's Miami, Las Vegas, and Austin, Texas.
What the fuck is it doing in Austin?
That's actually
that's the one we've been to. That's what his hat's from, actually.
Yeah, Circuit of the Americas. That's actually one of the most loved, not just by Americans, but by the drivers and everyone else. One of the most loved tracks on the calendar.
We're just living in Joe Rogan's world. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I think Circuit of the Americas predates him, so we're gonna say vice versa.
All right.
Something, yeah.
Sarah, I want to challenge you for this film, and yourself as well, Colin. And I already have mine, so it's fair. What's your hot take on F1, the movie? Do you have a hot take you want to give us?
That's a good question I'm thinking about, because actually a Formula One podcast I listen to, they always end with their hot takes, which I know you've kind of done that with this podcast.
You can pass to Colin.
Colin, you want to go first?
I've got one. I'll go first. What Colin's thinking there. It's recently revealed that Denis Villeneuve is taking over the Bond franchise, or at least for one film via Amazon now. Colin, I disagree. I think Damson Idris could be a very good James Bond. I was watching the guy's got the physicality, young British dude. I think Bond needs to be a British guy, but I don't think he needs to be a white guy. I think he could be Afro. He could be Afro-British or South Asian. I've said for a long time, Dev Patel would be an amazing Bond, but they need a younger guy now. They want a guy who's 25, and I keep hearing Tom Holland, and I'm like, no. I think Damson Idris could do it. I think he's got chops. I liked him in this role. That's my hot take. I think we could have seen our next Bond in this film.
I thought of my hot take, if you want me to go on.
Yeah,
please.
It's just going to be pretty much as random as what you just said. That's a hot take. My second favorite female actress in this movie was actually before what would you say her name was? Jolie? Something?
Yeah,
Jodie.
Yeah. Callie Cook.
So she's 3. She's third. My second favorite woman in the movie, drum roll please, was the woman in the nightclub. Who asked Joshua Pierce if she could be introduced to Carlos Sainz.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, okay, so then my hot take is that in my opinion, Easter eggs make this movie better.
They do. Yeah, for sure.
And Carlos Sainz got so much shade, and it was kind of funny.
Who is he a bad person?
No. I mean, Carlos Sainz is one of the Formula One drivers. At that point in time, he raced for Ferrari. He is kind of universally known as one of the most handsome Formula One drivers.
I'm changing my switch from Fernando Alonso to Carlos who?
Sainz.
No, you're not a Carlos Sainz.
Fernando Alonso has a huge forehead. I Googled him while we were talking. Just saying.
He does have a huge, but you know what? So do I. They all have huge foreheads. It's just how it works.
He's wearing a hat. You can't even see his forehead.
Anyways.
All right. And so it was funny because that literally is what I'm sure many Formula One drivers get asked is, will you introduce me to Carlos Sainz? So that was really funny.
Okay, so he's like the Ronaldo. Okay.
There was so much interesting shade, like the Kevin Magnussen comment.
I thought that was funny.
Was hilarious. Yeah. That was the first guy that he came into contact with, the Haas driver, and they were like, Kevin Magnussen's, not known, basically he's saying he's known for crashing, not backing out from a crash, which was kind of funny.
Oh, I liked another one I liked was Gunther Steiner.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
So Gunther Steiner is in Drive to Survive. He becomes a very popular character in the TV series because he's known for kind of being really brash and just saying whatever he's thinking about. And basically he is the former team principal of the Haas team. And so the owner of Haas is this guy named Gene. And so in Drive to Survive...
American team.
Yeah.
Only American team.
Yeah. And Gunther Steiner is Gene, he's always explaining why they lost in Drive to Survive. So he's always Gene, no, it's okay. I've got it under control, whatever. He's always trying to whatever to Gene. But he's known for using the F word over and over and over again. It's not even needed, and he's just going. And so in the movie, I didn't know if they did this to keep ratings at a certain level or something, or if they're just being playful. But you see Gunther Steiner, yelling something, and it looks like he's saying, the F word out loud. Yeah. And it's fun because he's not actually saying it, but we all know what he's saying because that's what he's known for. I don't know.
Those are some of my favorite ones. He's the guy. He's the team principal that when they're on like the pit lane, that he leans out and sort of angrily looks at.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he's
this guy.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't look German at all.
Yeah. So he's very, very German. He's actually
I want to
German.
hire that guy to read me a fairy tale. I bet he calls wolves eating children.
He'd be great.
And at one point, Kevin Magnuson slammed his door, and he said, "Don't fuck smash my door." It became this famous line, and so that was a great little Easter egg. He had more lines than Lewis Hamilton.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah,
shocked about that.
Yeah.
To be fair, fuck smash sounds like a great new dating app name. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Just do that.
The amount of T-shirts he's sold with that on it, I think, has made some good cash.
Yeah.
All right, here's my question for you. You're both racing fans, and we've talked. Colin, you and I have not done Ford versus Ferrari on the pod. Or did we do Ford versus Ferrari on the pod? We did.
No.
Was that our first film? What did we do?
Ferrari.
We did Ferrari, which was awful.
Yes.
We did not like that. Sarah, did you see Ferrari?
I didn't because of your review.
It was so bad.
I
love Michael Mann. It was so bad.
No, it's not good.
Like Colin and I, our first conversation was like how much we hated a movie together. Yeah. We're like, let's be friends.
It's like, let's do this podcast on a movie we both hated. So I was like, okay,
it was fun. Dog shit. I was so disappointed because I think Adam Driver might be the best actor of his generation. I think he's that good. But Michael Mann shit the bed on that one. But oh god, now I'm thinking of that scene with the kid with the crash with the kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. And I like to think about Ferrari in terms of Ford versus Ferrari. I like to imagine them as sequels. Put this film in context with your other favorite racing films. Sarah, you go first. What when you think about your favorite racing movies, what are they? And where does this rate?
I don't know if I've seen that many racing movies. So what I was actually doing was comparing it to Top Gun. Because it's
it's very much Top Gun.
Jerry Bruckheimer, like whatever. Swap out Tom Cruise for Brad Pitt. And also just thinking about, I don't know, because I was thinking about it, the first and second Top Guns versus each other. And then I was thinking about it in the context of this movie. And I was like, I liked this. I still like the second Top Gun better than this movie, Formula One. But yeah. It reminded me of it in a way, what I like about the Top Gun movie is what I liked about the Formula One movie. If this makes any sense to anyone. Yeah.
No, I actually think that makes perfect sense because I felt the exact same way. First off, I cried in Maverick, and I never got to that level.
When did you cry?
I don't remember.
Were you upset that Pete Mitchell and Charlie never worked it out?
I don't know. I don't remember what I cried at. I bet I would cry again if I watched it again. But I loved
it. Made me emotional.
Yeah, it did.
I actually prefer the original Top Gun, but that's okay.
I love the original. Don't get me wrong, but I would not. I would put both of those probably above this. I think the stories are just maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
In terms of other racing movies, it's hard for me to compare it to Ford versus Ferrari because the story of Ford versus Ferrari is more compelling than the story in this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
But the action and the fun and the
racing scenes, I think,
are way better. Yeah. Are way better in this.
Better film. Montage in this too.
And
Krasinski does a good montage.
It's better than Days of Thunder. It's better than Rush. And I'm trying to think of other movies that include Formula
Rush was what I wanted to compare this to.
Yeah, I think that
Chris Hemsworth is in this film. Did you not notice that?
No. Did it? No, I don't think
there was a shot of Chris Hemsworth.
In the stands. As a guest.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I thought I saw Liam Hemsworth. Are you sure it was Chris and not Liam?
No, because my heart skipped a beat. I was like, hey.
And so Rush, then I think that there are just so many more characters in this movie, and Rush is a lot more character focused between Niki Lauda, obviously, and James Hunt. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's different to me. And I was actually thinking a lot about this and sort of is racing, is it fair to compare this to racing movies, or can we just include car movies? Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I kept expecting for someone to say we're family, right?
Yeah, Fast Furious.
I want Donna Toretto to show up at the very end and jump over this in like a
Yeah.
67 Plymouth Charger or some jazz. But yeah.
Because I think I was on many hours of flights over the last couple months. And one of the movies that I watched that I hadn't seen in many years was Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
The dude next to me on the flight from Texas that went awful trip off was watching Gone in 60 Seconds. So I watched Nicolas Cage go.
yeah. And
Also, can we say this real fast? Nick Cage and Angelina Jolie, no chemistry.
no,
I have more chemistry with Angelina Jolie than
my
Nicolas Cage.
memory was that she was in that movie a lot more than she actually is in that movie.
She looked awful with the blonde dreads.
Yeah.
But again, that movie made me like, and it could be a little bit of nostalgia, right? Because that came out kind of like when I was in high school, and I loved it. But it held up. I absolutely adored and loved that movie. But I think that the sort of like that feeling that you get, when they're changing gears and they're, like that was very similar to me. And so I don't know. I think as a car movie goes, this one's a pretty good one.
All right. So I guess maybe here's my last question. Dr. Sarah Myers, Dr. Colin Colbourn, would you watch this film again? When this comes out on streaming, are you going to purchase it? Or are you just going to watch it? Like, is this a movie you're going to watch again now that you see it at the theater?
I'm going to watch it again, but I'm not going to purchase it. Like it takes a lot for me to purchase something. So maybe that should be
I've got like 15 movies like that are in the rewatchable.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to purchase it. Am I going to go see it in theaters again? I don't know. I did see the second Top Gun 3 times in theaters because I
would like to see this in IMAX.
I really loved it. But so you could watch it, in IMAX, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm going to wait for it to come out on streaming.
But you'll watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I did really like this movie, but it wasn't like life-changing.
Yeah.
Like I will watch it again, but it's not, I'm not going to, I'm not going to buy it on, on Blu-ray. No. So I don't, like it was very good, and I will watch it again, definitely, but it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
You know what? I'm going to be the one of the three of us who's like, I'm absolutely going to buy this. And so it goes into the which is like, it's great because I'm the non-racing fan. I'm like, I love this movie. Like, I can't believe how much I enjoyed this film. Like walking out, I was like, this is so much better than I expected it to be.
This is how it starts. Yeah.
Jason, my question to you, since this is my podcast.
Sure, go for it. I like it when I get to answer questions.
Dr. Herbert. Sorry.
No one ever cost me that. It feels so good.
Are you going to watch Formula One with Sarah and I? Did this movie inspire you?
Let's watch it. When is a race? Is it racing season now?
5 a.m. every Sunday morning.
Well, that's 3 a.m. for Mountain Time. Awesome. Wait. Can't we wait for when's the Dallas one or the one in Texas, the one in Austin?
Usually in October.
Yeah.
You want me to get up? I'll get up at 3 a.m. and watch a race with you. Absolutely.
No, we should definitely do that. I get my question to you.
Is there a race this weekend?
Yes.
Yeah. Silverstone, the race that's featured in the movie.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll get up at 2:45. What channel?
The race.
It's not. It's like a 10, I think, or 9.
I was joking.
It's not. It's rarely.
Look at me. I was like, let's go. I was like, let's do this. I'm all in. Fuck it. I'm gonna have some oatmeal.
In Australia and Singapore,
yeah,
and I think Japan are usually at like 2 a.m. But anyway, the race this weekend is at 9 a.m. Eastern.
There you go. 9.
I can do 7 a.m. Okay. When? Where is it?
Sarah, you want to come down? And
How long is the race? How long does the race last?
It's like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
That's it. NASCAR's like 3.
Unless there's like some major rain or red flag.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. And
Sunny Hayes is driving, and it's planned chaos. In that case, it'll take a lot longer.
I will do this so long as we can have like a running text message that I can post on.
Sure.
That I can post on the Substack that goes along with this podcast.
Sure.
Rachel and I watch, like we try to watch every race we can live. Actually, I watch all 3 practices and qualifying and the race.
All right, let's do this. Like Benjamin, my son will be here. He'll watch it with us. It'll be great. Let's do it.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right.
Are you going to be rooting for your guy, Fernando Alonso?
Yeah, yes, he wears green and he drives an Aston Martin. He is 13th in the points right now. He is.
That's funny. Look that up.
It's not 13 points. He's P13 is where he's at. I learned the verbiage.
I think that's perfect, man. I think he should be your guy. He is definitely one of the most like clever, like conniving. He's
Colin?
He's always thinking of ways to get an advantage.
Yeah.
He's an amazing race driver. Honestly,
he's an old warhorse like Dr. Herbert.
He is that.
A lot.
He is.
All right, awesome. All right, Dr. Sarah Myers, Dr. Colin Colbourn, guys. I'm so glad we did this. Why don't we do more podcasts together?
I'm ready. Notting Hill.
Colin, you and I have 2 other pods lined up. We have Notting Hill and Sahara. Sarah, what's our next pod? You have to pick a movie.
I mean, I can't off the top of my head that quickly because you're putting me on the spot.
I don't even care what it is. You just pick a movie. It could be like it doesn't like you were the one who would often put history into our podcast today. So
sure.
You say, hey, I want to do Bridesmaids or I want to do The Never-Ending Story, or no, we're not doing that. I am not crying on this podcast.
If we do Maverick, I will cry. So that's
sure.
You want to do Maverick? No, you know what? Let's do Maverick, but it turns out it'll be the Mel Gibson Maverick card playing game movie with that came out like with Jodie Foster back in like.
Oh my! I forgot about that movie.
That's a great movie.
I forgot
James
about that.
Garner.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Where he's his dad.
Yeah.
That movie's fun.
I forgot about it.
I did too. I always think of
I get so mad that Mel Gibson ruined everything because what a talent he was, and then he turned out to be awful. And now, like, I feel like I can watch the pre-awful Mel Gibson stuff because it's like before I knew.
Yeah.
Like the Lethal Weapon stuff, I'm down. Like Braveheart, like also great. Up until Passion of the Christ, and I don't need to watch that. But like everything before then, fair game. Either way, I'm not ending this podcast on Mel fucking Gibson. So all right, Colin, who's your guy? Who is my Spanish prince racing against?
Lando Norris, Lando Calrissian Norris.
Lando, was he named after Lando Calrissian?
Probably.
I want to meet some fair maiden still who has like daddy issues at a low standard. I'd like to have another child so I could name said child after Star Wars. That would be awesome.
I did not know where you were going with that, but
I didn't either.
Colin and I were both like cringing.
Can I tell you? So I have to fly to San Diego at the end of this month for my friend Alan's wedding, and he's marrying this wonderful, beautiful woman named Shannon. Of course, he is because Alan is like the handsomest guy I've ever met, and he's from Mexico, and he plays like that guitar. It's like it's not even fair. How like I think I've got a man crush on one of my best friends. He's very dashing. But I was like, his name's Alan Malfavon. And I'm like, dude, name your child Cassian Malfavon. He's like, dude. I'm like, yeah, hermano. Right? I mean, that's good. Man. I want to, I miss it. I mean, I do have a son named Ben, after Obi-Wan. So, I mean, I guess I still got that.
So you're close, I guess? Then?
I need more bloodline. If I'm going to, I want to go full Elon.
All right, Elon. Yeah, great.
This pod has gone off the rails. Not unlike many tragic F1 accidents. Colin, Sarah, this has been so much fun.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you for this.
Thank you, doctors.
And that's a wrap here at Reckoning with Jason Herbert. Thank you so very much to our guests, Dr. Sarah Myers, Dr. Colin Colbourn, and of course to our producer, Fletcher Powell, who does not have a PhD, but you are, sir, a doctor of my heart. Guys, thank you so very much to everybody for listening to this podcast, for being part of this, for sharing this podcast, for sharing this community. So thank you so much for being here, and we will have more coming for you very soon. So ciao for now. Bye.